The sun dipped low as I approached the quiet monastery. Feeling the weight of failure pressing on my heart, I had erred in my duties. An oil lamp shattered by my trembling hands, its flames extinguished by my mistake. The echoes of whispers among my fellow disciples followed me, their quiet disapproval amplifying the silence of the courtyard. With hesitant steps, I found the Blessed One seated beneath the Bodhi tree, his presence radiating peace and understanding. He gazed at me without judgment, his calm eyes inviting me to speak of what burdened my troubled spirit. "Master," I began, my voice trembling, "I have failed again. I am unworthy of this path and my teachings." Buddha inclined his head, his voice gentle. "Tell me, what is failure, if not a mirror reflecting our own expectations?" I paused, confused, yet drawn to his words. "Failure is the result of my inadequacy, proof that I lack the strength to succeed." He nodded as though hearing an answer beyond my words. His wisdom carried in the cadence of his speech. "Do you recall the tale of the bird who dropped its seed into the river's swift and careless flow?" The question caught me off guard, yet I nodded, remembering the fable of the tiny bird and its relentless perseverance. "The bird," he continued, "could have lamented its mistake, letting despair take root in its fragile wings. But it did not." I spoke hesitantly. "Instead, it chose to search anew, to scatter its seed where fertile earth awaited its gentle touch." He smiled at my understanding and gestured for me to sit at his side under the sprawling Bodhi tree. "Failure," he said, "is neither our enemy nor a warden barring us from progress. It is the teacher of humility." His voice was as steady as the flowing river, carrying a rhythm that resonated within my conflicted heart. When the oil lamp shattered, he asked, "Did the light extinguish within you, or does it flicker still?" I looked down, reflecting on my despair. "It flickers faintly, Master, though the winds of shame threaten to extinguish it entirely." He reached out, his hand brushing the dry earth, tracing a line in the dust. Simple yet deliberate. "Within this line of dust," he explained, "exists both its clarity and its impermanence, much like the essence of our actions." He paused, allowing his words to settle. "To fail is to have acted, and in action, we begin the cycle anew." The disciples who had gathered in the distance leaned closer, their gazes fixed on the scene of our conversation. "Recall," he said, "when you carry water in a clay pot, each step teaches care lest the vessel spill." His analogy awakened something deep within me, an understanding woven into the fabric of my scattered thoughts. "And when water does spill," he continued, "do you halt, forsaking the journey, or do you proceed more mindfully?" I answered softly, yet with growing resolve, "I clean the spill, Master, and strive to carry the pot with greater care." Buddha nodded, his approval a gentle touch upon my weary soul. "So it is with failure. It is a guide, not an end." The evening breeze swirled between us, carrying the faint scent of blooming jasmine from the nearby garden. His words continued to unfold, revealing truths with each measured sentence, as though unwrapping a gift hidden in plain sight. "Do you believe the lamp's purpose ceases with its breaking, or does its absence urge another light to arise?" I hesitated, the complexity of his teachings slowly unraveling the tightly wound shame within my spirit. "A broken lamp," I offered, "does not extinguish light, it inspires the need for light to exist once more." His smile broadened, and the disciples behind us began to murmur, their own realizations sparked by our exchange. "Yes," Buddha affirmed, "and in that need arises innovation, hope, and the resilience to overcome the shadows failure casts." He pointed to the horizon, where the first stars began to pierce the deepening veil of twilight. "Stars are born of collapse," he said, his voice barely more than a whisper. "Even the cosmos teaches us resilience." I felt a stirring within me, a quiet resolve replacing the tumult of doubt that had earlier consumed my heart. Master, I said at last, how does one take failure and shape it into the foundation of one's wisdom? Buddha closed his eyes briefly, his face serene as he prepared to impart the conclusion of his teaching. Through reflection, as the river reflects the moon. Through patience, as the seed waits for rain. Through compassion, for oneself. The power of his words struck me deeply, as though I had been handed a map to navigate my struggles. Master, I said, I feared my failure made me unworthy. But now I see it teaches me to be better. He smiled once more, his expression imbued with both joy and an ancient understanding I was only beginning to grasp. You are always worthy, he said simply. It is not worth that failure questions, but the wisdom of your journey. The moonlight, soft and unyielding, cast its glow over the scene, illuminating the paths we all had yet to tread. As I rose to leave, the fragments of my failure seemed to shimmer with a new meaning in the pale light. Buddha's voice called after me, steady and warm, a final gift to carry as I rejoined my fellow disciples. Let failure guide your feet, Upali, as the cracked earth guides rain. For in failure lies the essence of growth. Another day, another lesson awaited as the Blessed One traveled through verdant fields toward a nearby village. Known for its beauty, the sun rose, casting its warm light over the fields, and villagers gathered eagerly to hear the master's teachings. Among the crowd stood a young farmer, clutching a wilted lotus, his head bowed as though carrying an invisible burden. He approached the Blessed One hesitantly, his steps slow and uncertain, his eyes fixed on the flower's bruised and torn petals. Master, the farmer began, his voice low, this lotus was once perfect, but now it holds no value or beauty. Buddha's gaze fell upon the farmer, his eyes reflecting an infinite depth of compassion and understanding for the man's plight. Tell me, Buddha said gently, why do you believe this flower has lost its worth because of its imperfections? The farmer hesitated, searching for the words. A gift must be flawless, Master, to be worthy. This lotus is ruined and unworthy. Buddha took the wilted lotus from the farmer's trembling hands and held it aloft for all to see. What do you see? Buddha asked the gathered disciples and villagers, his voice steady yet inviting thought and reflection. A disciple answered, Master, I see a lotus that has withered. Its beauty faded, no longer whole or perfect. Another disciple spoke, I see a symbol of impermanence, a reflection of life's fleeting nature and inevitable decay. Buddha nodded at their responses, his expression serene. And yet, do you not also see the essence of its being? The villagers exchanged puzzled glances, and the farmer looked on in silence, his confusion mixing with faint curiosity. This lotus, Buddha said, was born in the mud, nurtured by water and sun, and it bloomed into existence. He turned to the farmer, his voice soft but firm. Though bruised and torn, does it cease to be a lotus? The farmer shook his head slowly, his grip on doubt loosening with each word spoken by the Blessed One. The measure of a gift, Buddha continued, is not in its perfection but in the sincerity of the heart giving. He held the lotus closer, its faint fragrance drifting toward the gathered crowd. Even now, it offers its essence freely. Master, the farmer said, his voice trembling, how can something so flawed still hold meaning, still have value in this world? Buddha smiled, his expression radiant with wisdom. Flaws are not barriers to worth but marks of a journey shaped by life. He gestured to a nearby tree whose branches twisted and turned, reaching for the heavens despite its weathered appearance. Does this tree lose its value because its bark is scarred, or do its scars tell the story of its strength? The farmer looked at the tree, the contours of its gnarled branches speaking of resilience through countless seasons of hardship. Buddha placed the lotus back in the farmer's hands, his touch imparting both comfort and a deeper understanding of life's truths. Just as this lotus has endured and this tree stands tall, so must we cherish our imperfections as part of life's beauty. The villagers began to murmur, their thoughts stirred by the wisdom woven into the Master's teachings and his quiet grace. A disciple asked, "Master, how do we learn to see beauty in what seems broken and imperfect in ourselves or others?" Buddha's gaze swept over the gathering, his presence filling the air with an almost tangible sense of peace and clarity. "Learn to observe," he answered, "as the sky embraces each passing cloud, whether dark and stormy or light and fleeting." His voice grew softer, more intimate, as though speaking to each individual heart. "Within every imperfection lies a lesson, a treasure." The disciples nodded, their eyes alight with understanding. The farmer clutched the lotus, its weight now a comfort, not a burden. "Remember," Buddha concluded, "a wilted lotus still offers its essence, and a scarred tree still provides shelter and shade." The sun climbed higher, its golden rays illuminating the paths of those who had gathered to witness the teachings of the enlightened one. One by one, the villagers approached the farmer, their words offering comfort and solidarity as he stood with the lotus in hand. The farmer's shoulders straightened, and he looked toward Buddha with gratitude etched into every line of his weathered face. "Master," he said, bowing deeply, "you have shown me that even in imperfection, there is beauty, meaning, and worth." Buddha inclined his head slightly, his smile a reflection of the serenity he carried within himself and shared with others. As the crowd dispersed, the farmer walked away with the wilted lotus, its torn petals now a symbol of hope. The disciples lingered, their thoughts heavy with the weight of the lesson, yet their spirits lifted by the truth they had witnessed. Buddha remained beneath the tree, his presence a reminder that even the flawed and broken are not devoid of purpose or value. The wind carried his words beyond the fields and into the hearts of all who would come to hear his wisdom, for in that moment, they understood that imperfection was not a flaw to be hidden but a truth to be embraced. And so the lesson of the wilted lotus traveled far, carried by the whispers of those who had heard and understood. Its meaning blossomed in the lives it touched, a testament to the enduring power of the Master's timeless teachings. Another day, another lesson unfolded as the Blessed One sat beneath the Bodhi tree in the quiet town of Vaishali. The morning air was crisp, and the sound of birds filled the space where disciples gathered, awaiting their Master's teachings. A young woman approached, carrying a cracked clay bowl in her hands, her face heavy with sorrow and regret. "Master," she began, her voice trembling, "I sought to bring rice in this bowl, but it slipped and is now broken." Her words hung in the air, fragile and laden with the weight of her shame. As the disciples looked on silently, Buddha extended his hand toward her, his expression calm, his presence a steady beacon amidst the woman's inner turmoil. "Let me see this bowl," he said gently, his voice carrying an invitation rather than a command. She placed the bowl into his hands, her tears falling as she whispered, "It is unfit to serve, unworthy to offer." Buddha traced the cracks with his fingers, as though reading a story etched into the fragile clay's uneven surface. He turned to the disciples and asked, "What do you see when you look at this bowl?" One disciple replied, "I see a vessel that has failed its purpose, its form no longer able to hold what it must." Another added, "I see imperfection, Master, a representation of how fragile things are in this world." Buddha nodded slightly, his eyes twinkling with understanding, his hands cradling the bowl as he addressed the gathering. "Does this bowl cease to be a bowl because it is broken? Or does it still serve its intended purpose?" The disciples murmured among themselves, uncertain how to reconcile the cracks with the essence of the bowl's existence. Buddha held the bowl aloft, its flaws illuminated by the soft sunlight filtering through the tree's leafy branches. "Though cracked," he continued, Does it not still hold the rice placed within it? Has its purpose truly vanished? The young woman wiped her tears, watching as the master's words began to chip away at the heaviness in her heart. A disciple asked, "Master, how can something broken fulfill its purpose when it no longer possesses the strength it once held?" Buddha's gaze settled on the disciple, his voice steady. Strength is not found in perfection but in resilience. In the will to serve, he lowered the bowl, placing it on the ground before him, and gestured to a small stream flowing nearby. "Consider the stream," he said. "It bends around stones and roots, its path shaped by obstacles yet unyielding in its flow." The disciples turned to observe the stream, its waters carrying reflections of sunlight, a constant reminder of life's impermanence. Like the stream, Buddha continued, "This bowl, though altered, adapts and remains a vessel capable of fulfilling its purpose." He looked at the woman, his expression filled with compassion. "Tell me, does the bowl's brokenness make it unworthy of giving?" She hesitated before replying softly, "I believed it did, but now I see that its worth lies beyond its outward flaws." Buddha's smile deepened, his presence radiating the quiet power of understanding and acceptance for all that is imperfect. "In life," he said, "we are all like this bowl, marked by experiences, shaped by challenges, and carrying the scars of living." The disciples leaned closer, their thoughts stirred by the truth unfolding in the Master's gentle yet profound words. "Let not the cracks of the vessel blind you to what it holds," Buddha added, his voice resonating with quiet strength. The young woman knelt before him, her hands trembling but her gaze steady. "Master, I see now that I, too, can serve." Buddha inclined his head slightly, his approval a silent balm to her wounded spirit. "Every scar is a testament to effort." The wind shifted, rustling the tree's leaves, carrying the Master's words beyond the gathered disciples into the listening world. "Let failure remind you of your purpose, and let brokenness be the foundation upon which you rebuild," Buddha concluded softly. The young woman retrieved the bowl, holding it with newfound reverence, its cracks no longer a source of shame but meaning. The disciples sat in reflective silence, their hearts open to the lesson of the cracked bowl and its enduring purpose. As the sun rose higher, its light seemed to illuminate not just the path ahead but the truths within each soul. Buddha remained seated beneath the Bodhi tree, a silent reminder that even in brokenness lies the power to fulfill one's purpose. The lesson of the cracked bowl echoed through Vaishali, touching all who heard it and those who carried it to others. In its broken form, the bowl became more than a vessel. It became a symbol of resilience, grace, and the meaning of life. And so, the Master's wisdom continued to ripple outward, ever guiding those who sought understanding through the trials of existence. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.